Regular business meeting for which adequate notice under the Open Public Meetings Law was provided by written notice on April 26, 2007 to the Courier News, the Acquisition of the Reporter, the Star Ledger, and the Clerk of the Borough of Whitechapel and the Townships of Long Hill and Warren. Can I get a roll call?
Mr. Binder? Here. Mr. Fallon?
Yes.
Mr. Falzerano?
Here.
Mrs. Beckner? Mr. Horowitz? Here. Mr. Pepe?
Yo.
Ms. Mendel? Mr. Sun?
Yes.
Dr. Yaga did call and said he would not be able to attend. Dr. Seelig?
Here. Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is this one you gave me? This one? Yeah, I wasn't sure. Okay.
Welcome, everybody. We'll start off with a few comments from the superintendent.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. This evening we have a variety of presentations to offer for you. One will be by Mr. D'Alessio, our math department supervisor. We'll be speaking about the pilot test for the Algebra 2 test that will be given this May to our students. Beverly DiGeronimo, our Director of Curriculum and Instruction, will be doing the report on the quality assurance report that's submitted annually to the state. Nan Masterson, our head nurse, will be providing information on the nursing services plan this evening as well. Also want to let you know that in your packets I have enclosed the superintendent performance goals with the additional sentence included under the personnel evaluation section as we discussed at the October 15th meeting. You probably have heard quite a bit about in the press lately, in the last month or so, about a virus that is not new to the medical community, but it's relatively new to us commonly hearing about it in the schools or in the community, known as MRSA. The MRSA virus has manifested itself specifically amongst high school and college student athletes. We became aware of several cases that had occurred in the county sometime during the middle of October. We have not had any reported cases at our school. However, in response to this situation that seems to be cropping up in various places around the county, the state, and the nation, what I had requested was our cleaning company to come in a special time on a weekend and do a 50-50 scrub down of bleach and water of the locker areas, gymnasiums, cafeterias, and all classroom areas. Again, preventive medicine as well as the cold and flu season are approaching, and it certainly was not a hard sell at all to get the school cleaned in this fashion. In addition, we did quite an extensive protocol of notifying our kids. And our kids, being the good kids they are, were very interested in hearing about this flesh-eating bacteria, as it's now known among the student population, although that's not indeed what it is. But the kids have become very good about being aware of just general good hygiene habits, washing hands, making sure that they follow good hygiene procedures. And in your packets, you'll see that I've given you a green sheet, which is posted in all of the laboratories, a goldenrod sheet, which is the public health fact sheet on MRSA skin infections, and a light yellow flyer that was distributed to all of the athletics and sports teams about just general good hygiene practice. The protocol that we are following here, should there be a need for anyone to be notified, is that our protocol is to notify the local health departments and also to notify the county superintendent of schools should there be any cases of this virus at our school. As I said, to date we have not any reported cases. So that's just a little bit by way of background as to what we have done to try to be proactive in addressing any concerns about this MRSA infection. I'd like to also take a moment. Yes, question?
How often do they do the scrub downs? Is it one time, or do they do it regularly? Or?
Well, they did the one-time total building scrub down. What we've been also doing is purchasing those wipes, the Clorox wipes, so that they can be used in the gym areas and for classroom areas. At this time, we have not any plans to do a second total school scrub down, feeling that that was a good baseline to begin with, preventively. I'd like to take a minute to update you on the 50th anniversary events. As you probably know, on October 22nd, the Watchung Hills Foundation for Athletics sponsored a golf outing and dinner for us, which was very successful. I do not know yet what the actual net was, but I'm sure it was a good. We had a great turnout. I'm sure there will be a good amount of funds that were generated from that, which will be donated back to the school for purposes of paying for the athletic turf field. I'm also very, very proud and pleased to tell you about an open house we had here yesterday on November the 4th. We had basically invited many of our former faculty and staff, and many students came up yesterday to take a tour of the new building, and were greeted by one of our board members, Mrs. Feckner, our principal, Dr. DeGancy, who did an outstanding job of escorting people on tours, and gave a very passionate speech about life back in the early days of Watchung Hills, and was truly an enjoyable day. We provided a brunch, and people were taken on tours of the building. There was a lot of people meeting people here who had not seen each other in quite some time, and it was just really a tremendous day. We are considering having a third one. We had one on October the 2nd, I believe, early October, and another one in November. We're thinking about having a third one in sometime in April or May, when we have the anniversary garden planting that we're planning to do. We also have coming up a dinner dance that the PTO is sponsoring, and that looks like it will be sometime in middle of March, and we're still under negotiations to see exactly where it will be held, but they're looking at some very nice places for that. Again, many thanks to all of the people who have given so selflessly of their time and energy to make these events very, very special. Thank you, Dr. Seelig.
Thank you. I have just a few comments. I did attend the New Jersey School Board Association meeting. This was last week. I took the time there to attend a session they had on New Jersey CUSAC, and which is the new school and accountability compliance. Is that what the CUSAC I think it stands for?
I'm not quite
Nobody
sure, but
can
that's
remember
close.
it.
Close
But it's
enough.
a lot of rules and regulations that are coming to us from the state in terms of how we have to file information, the kinds of information that we have to collect, and what we're going to have to do from a school standpoint going forward. The people there that spoke were the individuals that were directly involved in the creation of the regulation of the law, and also would be directly involved in the interpretation of it. So I would assume that they were probably as close to the experts as you can get, at least at the current time. The section on school governance, which is what our jurisdiction is as a school board, was of particular interest to me. As you know, or maybe as you don't know, the governance piece has 9 sections. Each section has about 6 questions. If you answer no to any of those questions, you get 0 credit for that category. And if you go below 80%, which is 2 questions, then you get into the need to create an action plan. So you get, basically, if you get 1 question wrong, you're okay, but if you get 2 wrong, you have to create an action plan, a corrective action plan. If you drop below 50%, which I think is in the order of 4 to 5 questions, you then get help from the state to figure out what your action plan should be. So I just think there's a lot there. I'm personally, having heard what they have to say and the energy which they have to assuring school districts compliance with this, I think it's very important for us as a board to get in front of this one and not let it just kind of languish out there. I'll tell you also the thing that really caught my attention more than anything, I spoke with them about this, is that they're doing a 3-year look back. So any of those questions that you're going to answer, you not only have to answer it for this year or for the most immediate year, but you also have to answer for potentially for the last 3 years. And so some of those things, you'd have to go back and say, well, what was happening 3 years ago? And that would then be the basis upon which I think you could answer the question. So it's a pretty harsh treatment, because it's almost like we're not going to tell you what you can do. You're going to have to, and give you a chance to correct it. We're just going to measure to see how you have been doing, and based on that, we're going to go forward. So I'll come back to the point. I think as a board, we need to get in front of this one rather than stay behind it. Two, next one. I asked you this question last time. The New Jersey School Board Association Delegate Assembly, we've been asked who we're going to send to that. Jerry, I understand you are not. You can't represent two of us?
The bylaws state that you can't represent more than one district. And
Okay.
as the bylaws stand right now, that is the process. Whether we want to try to get the bylaws changed in the future, that's up to us. We can talk about that.
That's another
too.
matter.
It doesn't matter for this go-around.
Right.
I have the items that I can talk about later if you'd like under reports. I was going to do that.
Why don't you do that? What I need is a volunteer. The meeting is on the 17th. Semi-annual delegate assembly meeting is on November the 17th. It's down in Plainsboro, New Jersey, at the Wyndham Conference Center. As I recall, it's a really nice conference center there. Do I have a volunteer? November the 17th.
What day is that?
Saturday morning. Do get a piece of breakfast out of it.
All right, not everybody just
understand.
let's jump up here and raise our hands.
I would tell you, it's not the heaviest agenda in the world to go all the way down there, but
Board,
I do it every year or every twice a year. So.
Pete, did I see your hand go up?
I'm
I saw your hand go out like
I'm
that.
thinking about it. But it's scratching before backing it go.
I need one volunteer to represent our school district. Otherwise, we will not be represented there, which I think will probably not do well for us.
Give you an answer by the end of the meeting.
Laura, your hand went up? All right, I'll put it on at the end of the meeting, but I do need a volunteer.
Paddles at the auction.
Item 3, I also attended the foundation event, golf outing. I won't reveal my score. It was a good event. I hope they raised a lot of money to help pay for the turf field. I would thank them for organizing it. It's really a nice get-together, and it was an enjoyable day. Next time I'll practice golf before I actually get out there. Item 4, we have, Tim sent out some information to us with regard to training for the, to meet our CUSAC responsibility for training for this coming year. We need to get back to him. I would encourage, there is some interpretation, and depending on how you read the regulation for the law, you can interpret it many ways, and we've all gotten different interpretations of who has to go and who doesn't have to go. I think it'd probably be better if we all attempted to go, rather than leaving it open-ended, because it would be one of those areas we'd probably get a 0 for in that category for training.
Our attorneys said we have to go. That was the letter that we got from Anthony.
Yeah, in that there's some question also. I've read it a couple times, so I come back to the point. I grant you there may be interpretation. I think we should all go. So please, if somebody on this board doesn't attend this meeting, this training, and somebody in the state says you should have been there, we get a 0 for that category, and which means that we're only one question away from having to do an action plan. Okay, so let's see if we can all get there.
Tim,
We can respond to Tim.
Tim, I tried to click on the link from the Blue Notes and couldn't get anywhere. Do you have a list you can give us?
Yes.
Other locations?
Eliminate the question mark.
Yes, I do.
Equals 45, I think, is the, that'll get you to the right page. I noticed that.
Yeah, I can give you that in
An email or something?
yeah, I'll send you the email.
Okay.
The last thing, just so you get a sense of the regulations, and this is another, I think is this CUSAC, Tim, in terms of the trip reports? Or is that
The travel reimbursement
A5.
is, yeah, it's A5.
Okay, well, Tim will fill you on the details, but I know in industry a lot of times when you go on a trip, you fill out a trip report, and now in the school board we're required to do the same thing. And so those of us attended the most recent school board association meeting will be required to fill out a trip report. By the way, I would say to the person who's going to fill in for us at the delegate assembly, Pete, since you're volunteering that, you'll probably have to fill out a trip report also. Tim will give us the details on that in the form. Okay. Any questions? Thank you. But shall we move on, Tim? Do you
I'll just expand
comment from
on
our
the...
business administrator?
Thanks, Mr. President. I will just expand on the trip report. I have in your packets a blank form. It's like a 2-page form. This does not have to be, a very detailed explanation of what you did every single minute of the conference, but just a very generic explanation as to how it benefits the district. It is state law. It is a lot of paperwork. We obviously know that the school board's convention or any of these other trips are beneficial to the school, or else we wouldn't go. But if you can, it is a requirement that you complete this form. It looks like this. With some lines on it, if you haven't seen it, and it's in your packets. And I have it on a electronic file. If you want me to send it to you.
Could you do that?
Yeah.
Just
I
send it
could.
electronically.
And I also have what my report is too, and I could send you that one if you want to use that
That'd be good.
as a guide.
Send that
Go,
one
you just can't get
Could you
paid.
send that one electronically, too?
You don't go.
I'll send them both out electronically.
Thank you.
And that's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. We'll move on to principal's comments. Dr. Gansey?
Thank you, Mr. President. A reminder that we have the Tempest a week from Wednesday for a matinee performance at 3:30, and then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 7:30 in our Performing Arts Center. It should be a wonderful production. Our volleyball team is in the quarterfinals of the state championship. They'll play tomorrow against Bergen Tech away, and if they win, they'll go against the top team in our division, Cherokee, which is down in South Jersey. And if they beat Cherokee, most likely they'll go against Huntington Central for the third time this year. It was one of the top teams in the state. So we wish them the best, as we wish our Frisbee team. Believe it or not, our Frisbee team is ranked second in the state and 25th in the nation, which is an incredible accomplishment, And believe it or not, our marking period's over on Wednesday. It only seemed that we began school not too long ago, and the marking period ends on Wednesday. And Thursday and Friday, we're off for NJEA convention as the teachers take off for Atlantic City. And a reminder, at the end of the month, National Honor Society will have its induction, which is a Thursday, November 29th. And a group of about 12 former students, administrators, teachers, board members, form the Watchung Hills Hall of Fame. And we're working on our bylaws and hope in April to have our first induction. And it's not an induction just of athletes. It's a Hall of Fame of either students who have gone through Watchung Hills or teachers who have tremendous accomplishments and contributions to our society, either as teachers or administrators or coaches of Watchung Hill students, or students who have gone on to great accomplishments. And we hope to have the bylaws complete by this week and the selection process begin in early winter time. And with the first induction in early April, a week before we have our PTO talent show, which includes teachers as well as community members. So that's it'll be an exciting April, no doubt. And that's it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Our student representatives are not here right now. They may show up later, and if they do, we'll go back and see if they have comments at that time. I think at this time we have a presentation. Pam,
Yes,
do you want to do the introduction?
thank you very much. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Mr. Lennon and his fine work that he's done on behalf of the alumni who were victims of the 9/11 terrorist attack. And Mr. Lennon, would you like to say a few words to the board?
Thanks. I have a little written statement to keep it short on the advice of Mr. DeGansey. Somebody I should have listened to a lot more when I was in high school. My name is Mike Lennon, and I have a website for the alumni of our school. Having this website gives me a rather unique insight as to the type of people that you helped create, mold, or whatever. It's three of those that I'm here for. Vincent DeFazio, James Strain, and Chris Ingracia. Each of those were alumni of this high school, and unfortunately, each of them lost their souls on September 11th. It occurred to me that events of that magnitude, we remember, you teach our generations, this is going to go on forever. Unfortunately, because of the size of the event, they may not be remembered. They deserve better than that. With the help of a group that I belong to, the small business owners of this community, we want to take care of that. Mr. DeGancy has a plaque that these people helped create. I'm here to give that plaque to this school for them to mount somewhere in the school so that everybody sees it, that they remember Vincent, James, and Chris. Along with that plaque, I have in somewhere a check for $100 to help cover the cost of that plaque, and a card that reads as follows. On the morning of September 11th, America experienced several tragic terrorist attacks in which thousands of innocent civilians perished. It was a day of violence, horror, and sadness that will never be forgotten. Our alumni community lost 3 extraordinary members: Vinny DeFazio, Vincent, I called him Vinny in my class, James Strain from the class of '83, and Chris Ingracia from the class of 1991. It's our hope that this plaque will keep the names of the 3 lost alumni in the hearts and minds of every student and every person passing through the halls of this high school for generations. Final thing I have to say is, evil had its day on September 11th. Tonight, in this high school, in this library, kindness, compassion, and humanity stood up and was counted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lennon. Thank you. Just to let you know that we will be, we'll be placing the this plaque, which is a beautiful, beautiful testament to these fine young people that were senselessly killed in that horrible day. Will be placed in our atrium area. When you come in the front door, where the canopy is, there's a large atrium, and opposite the atrium there's like a very pretty garden area. I don't know if any of you have seen it yet, but the garden area, we're going to put it on a little, sort of like on a podium, on a slant, so that it will face both the outside and the inside. So whether you're inside or outside, you'll be able to view it. And we're just very, very pleased and proud that this effort was undertaken by Mr. Lennon on behalf of his classmates, and we're very grateful for that. Grateful to also all of the sponsors, the community and corporate sponsors that made this possible, including thanks to Mr. Pepe and his family for participating in that endeavor as well. We have a list here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We have a list here. Oops, sorry. Throwing the list. We have a list here of the business cards of all the people who participated in the fundraising for this memorial plaque, and we certainly appreciate your efforts, Mr. Lennon.
Can I just add something briefly?
We have,
Can I just add something briefly?
absolutely.
Mr. Lennon, I'd just like to add my thanks as someone whose brother was also lost on 9/11 and has had his memory attested to at St. Joe's, where we went to high school, and at his college too. I think it's especially appropriate that you and your group have done this so that these 3 will be remembered here, and I thank you for that.
We have a formal resolution on that, which normally wouldn't occur until we get to it. It's D6. I suggest that we bring it forward now so we can actually accept the plaque and the donation. Laura, you have a comment?
No, I would also like to thank you for your work on this, and it's very important that these individuals are not forgotten. And I have a brother who fortunately survived, but he was on the last PATH train leaving New Jersey into New York and was in the middle of all that horror. He's a graduate of Watchung Hills, and I'm going to it would be with pride that I will share with him the work that you did, and I thank you, from really inside my heart for all the work that you did.
Yes.
Please trust in me. Please trust in me. This is what's happening here tonight. It's happening on behalf of James Grissom. I really appreciate and thanks for made this happen. Our community. We should all be proud of
We'll be sure that everyone gets to see all of the people who were participants in this, Mr. Lennon. Thank you.
Yeah, I know.
There's a couple of them, yeah.
Yeah, we'll make sure
Okay,
they
we'll
get
pass
along.
them around, and we'll be sure everyone gets, we'll get a list, we'll make a list of all the names of the folks that participated in this.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I'd like to move the following resolution. Resolve, the Board of Education accepts with appreciation the donation of a 10-by-8 memorial plaque and $100 for installation from small businesses in the district and surrounding towns who came together with the help of Mr. Michael Lennon, a WHRHS alumnus, to commemorate WHRHS alumni who lost their lives on September 11, 2001.
Have a second?
Sandy?
Sandy seconded. Any discussion? Yeah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? I would just like to say thank you very much. I think the events of that day have touched everybody here. So this is a special.
We also appreciate the family members that took time tonight to come and support Mr. Lennon and to have been unfailing supporters of us and our school and everything we've done and all of the work that we do to try to instill the values and the types of ideals that you gave your children when they were coming through school here. We hope that we can continue that as a living testament, a living memory to their greatness. Thank you.
Tim, I think you should have a check now.
Sure.
Okay. Again, thank you very much. I think we'll move on to the committee reports. If you want to take a few minutes here?
Yes, maybe that's good.
Yeah. You want to just take a few minutes here so we can, because I'm sure they don't want to hang around. If that's all right. I didn't know.
So what? Oh, yeah.
Good people. Yeah, that Mr. Lennon helped publicize on his website about all the open houses too. That's how come we got so many alumni here. Yesterday, we had a ton of people here. There's our public.
Do we have a link to the website?
We do. It's actually linked on ours, yeah. That's how people found out. Okay, good. Let's get through these reports.
Okay. Without, it's a tough act to follow.
Let's start.
It's very difficult to follow. Let's move on to,
Make a motion.
Our right wing is,
you make a motion.
Our right wing kind of left us here.
yeah, we're tilted.
No discussion.
All right, with that, we'll move on to committee reports. And we have negotiations, buildings and grounds, and co-curricular this time.
Negotiations will be reported in private session.
Okay.
Other than that, I can say publicly that we've scheduled our first negotiations substantive meeting with the teachers group for December 11th.
Okay. I know the Buildings and Grounds Committee met.
Does the, just one question.
Oh, I'm
Does
sorry.
the
Apologies.
resignation that's on the walk-in agenda affect that at all, or how does it affect it at all?
It doesn't.
Doesn't have any effect?
I mean, he's a member of their negotiating committee, but he won't be after
No
he
change?
resigns.
Okay.
Yes. You can't come back,
Can't come back.
unless you morph into another form.
You can come visit him in Greenbrook, though.
Unless
May
he's
not be
John
there yet.
Bon Jovi.
Okay, with that, we'll, any other questions on negotiations at this time? We'll move on to B and G. Lou?
How you doing?
I'm fine. We had a meeting. the
Yeah,
other
we
day.
did. Don's been busy. We've got DCA inspection scheduled for November 8th and 9th. Tim and Don have gotten pricing on the hood vent certification for the science labs. They're moving forward on that. I don't know if it's been done yet or not, but it's on the move. The pit lift calculations are still in DCA review. You don't know what's going to come out of there yet. The South Auditorium is almost ready for occupancy except for some emergency egress lighting. So all the other issues were taken care of. The TV studio, the fire ratings have pretty much been agreed upon. They just got to finalize them with DCA, and we can get that resolved. We're entering into a maintenance agreement with MSC Mechanical for rooftop AC units and chillers. They're an authorized McQuay dealer, so that they're familiar with the systems. Plus, they were also on the job for a short time under Torcon, so it kind of like they know the equipment, they know where to go, so we don't have to walk them around hand in hand to find the issues that we need taken care of. The tile floor out front, the attorneys are still waiting a written report. Cabot is still going through punch lists with Don. Don has also been able to get McBride to discuss closing out their work, and it looks hopeful that he may be able to negotiate a similar deal with them as he did with Cabot. So that's was looking positive at that meeting. And then Peter had reviewed the Flex Media contract and had a number of questions on it. So we held back on that until those questions are answered, and the president has taken care of that with the individual that negotiated that with Flex Media. So everything's on the move. Wasn't much bad news this month, so
Good.
We're going.
And the last one that met was co-curricular.
There is no report tonight.
No report.
Paul, although we didn't meet, there were just a couple of quick points that do relate to Finance Committee as a result of my being at the, or attending the school board's convention. So if I could take about a minute and a half to just highlight them, because they're issues that will be discussed the next month or so. Do you mind?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
No, should I keep you firmly to the minute? I just want to know. Is it-
Well, it's 58 seconds, really.
58 seconds, okay.
I spoke with Ed O'Malley, and Tim, did Ed send you some of that information on our claims experience?
I don't think I got anything from that.
He's Commerce Insurance.
Yeah, no, I don't think I got
He
it.
said he sent you something. There's two issues. One is getting prepared for a renewal, and a lot of what we'll be able to do depends on what the claims experience is with respect to the health benefits. I asked Ed, who I saw at the convention, he's sending Tim the latest claims experience, and so that's important. The other thing I asked Ed is in the next couple of meetings, if he could make a presentation, I think in front of the board, just to give us an update of where things stand with respect to health benefits at the school. You know, that's probably, after personnel costs, it's the biggest line item at about $2.5 million a year, and how things look for the following year. Also, Ed, since Commerce Insurance represents, I don't know how many, but many school districts around the state, I think Peter, his presence will be helpful for those of you on the negotiations committee, because the issue of health benefits, needless to say, is raised in connection with negotiations. I think Ed has some good insights and experience that I think would be useful in him sharing with the board. Fran and I have been speaking with one of the very large banking organizations in the state with respect to cementing, and cementing is an overstatement this time because we don't have a proposal to share with the full board, but we are discussing with this very large bank. Just opened up a large branch in Warren, so I think everyone knows which bank I'm talking about. They're also the same name as our insurance company, so it doesn't take a genius to understand who we're talking about, with establishing an ongoing financial relationship with respect to a sponsorship opportunity for the high school, which not going to be in the magnitude of the Citibank deal with the new Citibank Stadium for the Mets, but every couple of dollars certainly could be significant. The other interesting, I spoke to Tim about this. I met with a company that acts as an agent for the various cell phone providers in the state: Verizon Wireless, Singular, AT&T, which is part of Singular now, and Nextel, which is part of Sprint, with the possibility, engineering-wise, if there would be a significant demand for a tower on our property, which could be a very, very significant revenue opportunity for the district. When I say we're in the very beginnings of this, it's probably an overstatement to say the beginning, but the inception, the very loose beginnings of some discussions to see the feasibility of that from a number of perspectives. Finally, I had the opportunity to meet with, they had a booth at Atlantic City, and I personally happen to know the head of the SCA, the School Construction Authority. It's sort of been a source of annoyance to me that we haven't been able to thus far close out and get the fund. What do we owe, Tim? About $1 million and change?
Yeah, it's rough. It's a little bit more than that, about $1.2 million.
$1.2 million. Well, that's $200,000 is more than some change. And I was assured by them that they've been very open, receptive to seeing, and I gave Tim the information of the people who to contact, because the sooner we can close that out, we can get the $1,200,000, close out the short-term financing where we're paying interest on that. Just on that $1,200,000, it's probably what, Tim? $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year in interest.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So whatever that is,
it's
enough. It funds something. So those, we want to see about closing that out sooner than later, and certainly have some relationships with the SCA that would be helpful and beneficial. So that was just touching on Paul, the finance. And when we do have a finance meeting, did everyone get the notice? Monday the 12th at 7:30, Eric? Jerry, Pete?
Monday, yes.
Week from today,
Yeah.
7:30.
In the morning?
Yes.
May I say?
Go ahead.
And Rob, I just want to make sure that notwithstanding what preliminary contacts have been made, that when we're looking at banks for possible revenue sources, that we make sure that we exhaust the opportunities of the other banks who are not the newest people in town, who might also be willing to do something with us, and not pre-commit to one.
Oh, no, I'd say, Pete, something that this Fran and I probably for 2.5 years been, unfortunately, the other several have been exhausted and show no interest. As it happens, inadvertently, unintentionally, Commerce happens to be the depository for the school district. I don't even know the history of it. It happens to be the Summit branch, why Summit, I don't know. but they of the many banks in the state, well, as you know, there are fewer and fewer of them. They are very aggressive in terms of their funding of sponsorship arrangements with lots of educational, But if anyone, I would say this: if anyone on this board has relationships with any other banks, financial institutions, where they think they have an entree that worth discussing, the more the merrier. It's not exactly a buyer's market out there, though. I'd say that.
Okay. Any other questions? Let's move on to, we'll close the committee reports unless there are any other committee reports. Let's move on to item H, which is the QUAR report. Do you want to introduce?
Mrs. DiGeronimo, somewhere?
She has left the...
No, she's there.
She's hiding behind the podium.
Hiding behind the podium. Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Mrs. DiGeronimo, will give a brief overview of the QAAR report. You have a copy of this report in your folders. It is a rather thick document. It includes the attachments in it, and just going to give you an overview from Mrs. DiGeronimo, and then the nursing services plan with Mrs. Masterson. Thanks, Jeff.
I want to take the opportunity now to showcase some of the wonderful achievements that our students have made, as well as the hard work that our staff has put into helping our students reach some of these goals. On page 1, you'll see the implementation of school-level plans, and that makes a reflection toward the 07-08 goals that we'll be looking at for this upcoming school year. We do have county approval on them. The target objective is for special ed students to continue to meet AYP, and for 96% of our students to achieve proficiency on the language arts literacy portion of the HSPA, as well as 91% of our students eligible for taking the HSPA in March. Those were approved not only here but through our county office. The bottom of page 1 indicates clearly, and over to page 2, that we have met AYP according to the NCLB formula distributed to us by the state. The information in those tables, the top represents language arts literacy and the bottom represents mathematics. Students have shown great improvement. Our teachers have been working with our students, especially those who are giving indication that perhaps they are going to have difficulty meeting the graduation standard. And as you can see, we have made some very significant progress in this area. I believe you were given this information earlier in the school year as well. Page 3 indicates that we have met all targets, and we have done so well. We go over to page 4, which begins the LPDC, the Local Professional Development Report and Plan. What this does actually is we work with a group of professionals here on staff. About 4 or 5 of our teachers comprise the Professional Development Committee, and 3 others comprise the Mentorship Committee. And together we work in order to develop a needs assessment. We execute the needs assessment. We plan around it in order to meet the needs that have been articulated through that instrument for our staff in the upcoming school year. It's a very collaborative approach. We have 2 institute days each year, one in October, one in February, and we plan full-day programs around these needs assessments and the information that our committee has developed. For example, we also plan new teacher orientation together, the lists of people who will come in and present to our staff, our new faculty, our teacher aides, our new administrators, etc. Staff development also includes summer curriculum work, and you can see there's a list on one of these pages in here as well. Our mentorship plan. Our mentorship committee is really wonderful because it helps plan the pairings of teachers. We look at teacher schedules. We put them in close proximity with each other. We review on a yearly basis the expectations of the mentorship plan, which can include setting goals, executing reflective journals, detailing observations of seasoned professionals, meeting together to look at assessments, meeting together to discuss a portfolio, a professional portfolio, so that our teachers can feel very well ingrained in not only the community but the academic setting here at the high school as well. Our new plan is being formulated, will be due sometime I think in December, and the committee is getting together, has gotten together already to take a look at what we have done, what we have planned thus far, and where we are going in the next year. All of these reports are done in a collaborative fashion and are done in a timely fashion. We receive through Beverly Hetrick, who happens to be the education specialist down in Somerset County and with whom we consult on a regular basis. We have received an awful lot of accolades about how we plan our new teacher orientation and our mentorship program here. One of the other important elements of this particular report is our nursing plan, and that I think you have to skip over to a little bit. It's done as an attachment in the back. And in way of introducing Nan Masterson, who really needs no introduction, she's wonderful. She's our head nurse here, so to speak, and she's a well-seasoned health professional. That's a very, very busy office. If you have ever been here to pick up your children, unfortunately, if they are ill, not feeling well, or need a dismissal, you can see that the foot traffic is horrendous. We have students, as you well know, our population is growing. We have over 2,000 students on campus on a daily basis. There's a lot of kids coming in and out for Lee Kivitz, who is our other school nurse, and Nan Masterson to provide services to. But I also don't want any of us to forget that they provide services to our staff members as well, who come here, and we have close to 200 of them as well. The certificated staff, plus our support staff, as well as our B&G people, our secretaries, etc. So our ladies here are very, very busy. They have the foot traffic in and out. They have athletic exams they deal with. They have regular mandated screenings. And they give an awful lot of attention to our parents when our parents come in, asking questions about, for example, this new staph infection, or it's not new, but it's been highly publicized, as well as other things that happen. Our ladies talk to them about inoculations and all kinds of things. So our two nurses are very busy, and they are absolutely wonderful when it comes to these kinds of things. All of us on the staff have said if we ever get sick, these are the two people we want around us. With that little bit of an introduction, I'd like to have Nan Masterson step to the podium and talk at greater length and in greater detail about what she does on a daily basis.
Before she does that, just a word of thanks to Mrs. DiGeronimo. There is a tremendous amount of work that goes into pulling together all the data, and with the level of specificity that's required for the QAAR report, and the supervisors and the administrative team and Dr. DeGancy's office. Tremendous effort and work to pull this together in the fine fashion that it's done. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Nan Masterson, our head nurse.
Good evening. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to talk to you. I don't know whether anybody's had a chance to look over the plan. I just want to point out a couple of different things. We do have a very busy office, and it's there's never a dull moment. We see, actually, we estimate we see 45 to 60 students a day, but these are only the students that we chart on. These are students with acute illnesses. We also have another 20, 30, sometimes 40 students coming in to bring in health physicals that have to be looked up, have to be evaluated. We have, as Bev has said, we have parents coming in to ask questions. We have staff members coming in for blood pressure checks. So there's always something going on, and we work very closely with our student assistance counselors because we have a lot of emotional issues with the students that we want to get them in the right place. We talk a lot to the guidance counselors and to the trainers as well relating to sports issues. I'm just going to pick out different points on here. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. In addition to the visits that we have by the students every day, we do have some screenings that we do on a regular basis. Up until this year, all 10th graders have vision checked. All of our athletes, we do heights, weights, vision, scoliosis, and blood pressure checking before each sport. We have large groups of students coming in for that. and scoliosis check is offered to all students. As you know, there's always changes, and we just received a directive that this is going to change. We will now be doing visions on all 10th graders, hearings on all 11th graders, and all students will have visions, heights, weights, and blood pressures done. So we're trying to accommodate that type of change that we just received word about. And scoliosis testing as well, which there's some debate about whether that will continue or not, but right now it is required every other year. We have 4 diabetics. We have 161 asthmatics, and also these numbers change on a regular basis. We have to do this report at this point, but as the year goes on, we learn so much from when students are going on field trips and through athletics. Oftentimes the child will not make known to anybody here at school that they have these illnesses, whether it be seizures or asthma or very serious allergies. We find out sometimes they're going on a field trip and we see a student and the parents mentions that they have a peanut allergy but had never mentioned it to us. And that starts a whole plan for us where we have individual health plans for every student that is asthmatic, that has diabetes, that has seizures, or that have allergies. So each of those have a series of forms that they have to fill out by their doctor. Students with allergies where they carry an EpiPen have to review the EpiPen with us, also have to be approved by their doctor that they can use an EpiPen, and various plans have to be filled out. We're right now in the process of training several people in the school to be EpiPen designates. We have probably about 35 designates right now. We will have most of our coaches and several people in special services and in various parts of the school. We had a wonderful response this year. In previous years, we asked the staff if they were interested, and there was a minimal response, and there is no mandate that any faculty member has to be a designate, but there seems to be a real interest this year, and we're very excited about it. So we'll have them all CPR trained in January when we do our coaches, and just keep adding to them and reviewing with them as time goes on. This has become a really hot topic for most schools because, in fact, life-threatening allergies are increasing. Let's see what else I can tell you about. I'm not going to bore you with all of the details of what we do in the office, but there's a couple of different pages of things that we do. Just to give you an idea also of how things are increasing. When Lee and I started here, there were 1,300-something students, and this year we're talking 2,105 students. And this year alone, just the increase in the student population in our health office in October, we had an increase in September. Last September, we had 508 visits. Again, these were visits where students we charted on in the month of September, and this year it's up to 751 in the first month of school, which is usually one of the slowest months of the year. So we're anticipating it's going to be a very busy year. Does anybody have any particular questions from the?
I have a question, but I'll frame it, asking it to you and Tom as well. One of the things that you practically have to live on another planet not to be aware of it now is this whole situation. Unfortunately, it's filtered down to the high schools, maybe even junior high schools or middle schools as well, with the issue of performance enhancement drugs with athletes. I know the NJSIAA started some random drug testing, right, Tom, last year?
Steroids.
Steroid testing.
What?
Steroid testing.
Steroid testing.
Performance enhancing drugs.
Right. Do we have any policy or any notification, every year for, that the coaches, whether it's freshmen, JV, varsity, boys teams, girls teams, of information, that we can hand out, distribute to the parents and the students as to what is no and what is questionable, so that the student athletes and the parents should be on notice that these are prescribed, not only dangerous but illegal drugs, and also prohibited items with respect to NJSIAA, so that they're on notice. And not just for the issue of getting caught, but also for their own health.
Yes. As part of every athlete has to sign a form, and their parents also has to sign a form. It's an information form on steroids, and it notifies them that this is prohibited and they're not allowed to use steroids as part of any at all in the school. I don't have the exact wording of the form, but
there are other steroids
and drugs.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
I'm pretty familiar with this because I've had athletes in the school for a long time. There's a whole packet that's sent out normally with the athletic program about things you can do. Like, my boys take Advair occasionally, and that can spring up at certain times as a drug you don't want to take, and other things it might take. So there's a whole packet. Why don't we get you a copy of that so you can see what the athletes are actually seeing from a standpoint for things they should actually even get involved with even during the season.
It's not so much for me to read, but
it's great reading.
No, I mean if it's available, I'm saying is it widely distributed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe even on our website.
It already is there, isn't it?
It's the student handbook that the athletes get. It's in that, and as well as they have to commit to every year that they will not be taking.
Is it limited? What I'm asking you, you mentioned steroids, but there are other
and other drugs.
There are other drugs. I just whatever should be. We should be doing. I'm just asking. We in fact are doing. It's widely distributed for the health of our kids, and also that they can't say we didn't know if they get caught doing this.
They can't say we didn't know.
No, it's widely disseminated.
Any other questions, Jerry?
First, I have to say, it's always amazing when I see these reports, the amount of work that goes into what you have to do day by day. But I was just trying to understand a little bit about some of the numbers here, and I wonder if you could just help me. There's two sections, Section 2 and Section 3. One is medications administered, and one is acute, chronic. And then, for example, there's migraines, number 200 in the medications, and there's migraines number 10
Yeah, I
in the
can
acute.
explain that. Actually,
I'm trying to understand.
the one is the number of students that we have diagnosed with the migraines, and then the other one, the 200, is the best. In the last, since school started, we have had 200 students, and we really we're going to expand that to headaches and migraines. We have every student that comes in tells us they have a migraine. We only have 10 that we have a diagnosis from a doctor. But that means in terms of treatment, if they came in for Tylenol or Advil.
Okay, and then how about the same thing with ADD? I mean, above that, it says ADD 3 daily.
We only
versus
give,
ADD on the other one, which is number 35. So there's
Right.
35 diagnosed ADD, ADHD.
and 3 that come to our office to receive their medication daily.
Are they allowed to self-medicate, in the high school?
No.
So
They're not even allowed to carry aspirin or Tylenol, but we have a form, an emergency form that goes out every year, and the parent checks off in the form they can have, under our standing order, Tylenol, Advil, Tums, Pepto-Bismol, and Benadryl. And the parent chooses which ones they'll allow their children to take at school.
And then, just a couple, the number of estimates for visual impairment, 800, that includes contacts and glasses,
Yes,
or it's
it
not?
includes contact. It doesn't mean untreated cases, but we have an enormous number of students that have contacts and glasses.
Then the other thing is, on these screenings, how are they done? Do you do them all yourselves, or do you have to bring somebody
Our
in?
school
or-
doctor does the physical part. We do the visions, heights, weights, blood pressures, and vision tests. And then they go. They start out. They check in 107. They come to our office. We do those screenings, and then we send them into the other room to the doctor, and he does the actual physical.
So that's a lot of screenings you're doing.
We do them 3 times a year. We do them in October. We're doing them now in November in February and in June. We have a large group that comes in each time.
Amazing.
And they all have to be charted, which is the amazing thing too. Is it amazes me that we get the work done, and we don't. I mean, we do. I think a very good job. And there's other things that we could be doing, and we will have to be doing in the future as they expand the programs and require more of the schools in terms of screenings, because the screening itself is a monumental task. But the charting of it, every single thing we do to a student has to be charted on their individual record, which is very time-consuming.
Thank you. Peter, I think you had one question.
Yes.
Bev, this is more for Bev,
Bev?
I guess.
Thank you very much.
Paul has told us a lot, and as has someone from New Jersey School Boards, about CUSAC. So my first question, is this our last core?
That's the last core.
So this is a historic occasion.
Yes, it is.
We don't have a
Yes.
plaque.
Yes.
Should anoint it or something.
Yeah, and this is the forerunner to CUSAC, and CUSAC, somebody had said, we're not sure what it stands for. It's New Jersey Quality Single Accountability Continuum.
Continuum, that's
right.
the word.
That's the one. The
I
end.
keep thinking compliance.
That's a nice segue to my question, because I've seen quars now for 8 or 9 years on boards of education, first down at the K-8 and 2 years now with you. A lot of the grunt work getting the CUSAC report is going to fall to you. There are other aspects of it, but I'd like your perspective on the difference between this and what your workload's going to be next year doing the CUSAC.
Well, CUSAC, as Paul indicated, you have to take a look at 3 years back to see where you've been. A lot of this is absorbed, really subsumed within CUSAC. I think a lot of the difference. I don't mean to point. Excuse me. I think a lot of the difference is, some of the difference is that this does not really point toward the board's responsibilities the same way that NJCUSAC does. NJCUSAC is very specific, very concrete, very pointed, whereas this just lists some very global sets of assurances that you say, yeah, okay, and then we sign off on the type of thing.
So this has been a process of taking those sort of global statements and sort of shoehorning us into those things.
Yes.
And next year we're going to have more tightly written things to try and shoehorn ourselves in.
Exactly. The other The other thing with NJCUSAC is that right now it's a self-evaluation instrument where you're rating yourself. So you really have to be attuned to a large extent as to what ultimately they want. And you really have to think along the lines of what they're expecting to see as opposed to what you think they want to see.
But in terms of the process going forward, putting it together, are we still going to be relying on you and your crew doing a large part of putting it together?
I think it will be it'll be a collaborative effort.
And a board crew.
There's a committee that has to be formed. And
yes. We have to have a committee. It'll be sharing the workload, but a lot of us will continue to do what we've always done, but just in a slightly different way. But we'll have to have a real collaborative effort and work in cooperation with each other to figure out what it is we're doing. And my suggestion would be that we have our substantiated backup material very, very compiled very neatly so that we can reach for it whenever we need it. This type of stuff, I know where all this stuff is, so to speak. I can get all of this stuff, but in NJ...
So you can't retire.
I beg your pardon?
You can't retire until we get into CUSAC.
No, I can't. But the thing is NJCUSAC. My personal feeling, since she asked Mr. Fallon, is that we have 6 or 7 different binders or file cabinets, and each one of them is labeled, and we are able to go and pull out. This is what we're talking about, because our documentation here may be very different than North Plainfield or Westfield, Summit or Bridgewater, and we may call it the same thing, but it may look very different, and we need to have that stuff very, very close at hand.
Thank you.
And luckily, we know Beth Hetrick down at the county office very much, and we're on a real good basis.
It's good to have friends.
Okay.
Yes, it
Thank
is.
you, Beth.
And to thank you, Nan, and to also to say the statement probably for the first time that you're going to hear a budget statement. But as you can see and hear by the report that you have in front of you and the eloquent delivery of it that Mrs. Masterson gave us is that we are really beginning to be very understaffed in our health office, and we're approaching a point where we're going to have to start looking at some additional service personnel to help meet the needs of our growing school population. Next year over 2,300 kids, and as you know, kids come to school sometimes with some very significant needs, and of course we don't want to ignore the needs of any child that comes to us with any kind of health issue, or staff member for that matter. So they have really done a yeoman's job and continue to, but I believe we'll need some help next year.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll move on to the state testing requirements for high school students, algebra achievement test.
Yes, Mr. D'Alessio comes to us with the word from above about the new Algebra 2 test. Speaking of migraines, here's a classic example.
Just give me a second to boot this up. Tonight I'll talk to you about a new Algebra 2 state test that will be mandated for all students in New Jersey to take as an end-of-the-course exam that all students will have to take and pass probably in the next year or two. Let me get my exactly what it is.
While you're waiting, this has come to us from...
This is come through from Achieve.org, which is a group of states, basically governors, that came together and decided that national standards for all the subjects would be very, very important, that all states should collaborate in testing students in certain subjects in gateway courses, and the first is mathematics, algebra 2.
And this is the organization's Achieve?
Achieve.org, which is really a collaboration of governors from many states and businesses across the country. And we're part of a 9-state conglomerate. It's actually the first piece of this, the first set of testing that's coming out of Achieve.org.
And which tests are they taking away that we won't have to do anymore?
They're not taking any away. Kindergarten. My whole presentation.
Yeah, you blew it.
And how are they paying for it, Mike?
I have that in there too.
Unfunded mandates.
Basically, what is coming down the road is what we call an Algebra 2 EOC, an end of the year course examination, which is sponsored by the American Diploma Project or Achieve.org, and Pearson Education, which is a big book company, as well as other things they do. They're a big educational firm. They've sponsored this Algebra 2 test. Algebra 2 is a gateway course. Basically, after you get done with Algebra 2, it leads to courses such as pre-calculus and calculus, and it feels the American Diploma Project and Achieve.org feel that it's really important for all students to take Algebra 2, and I do too. In some states, that's not the case. Our 9-state conglomerate includes all those up there: Arkansas, Indiana, Kentucky, Maryland, Massachusetts, ourselves. They're coming together to be the first set of states that actually gives the Algebra 2 end of the course examination, that actually administers it to students, where there'll be scores reported out. So all of these states, they do have state tests. All states have some type of state test benchmark. This is not replacing the state tests in most of these states, and including ours. We don't know if it's a graduation requirement, and I have a very close contact at the state that really is giving me a lot of information. We don't know if the end of the 2 Algebra EOC examination will be a graduation requirement. We have to plan that it could be, though. We don't know the cost to the districts, whether we're going to have to pay for the tests being scored, and there's actually multiple layers of tests that I'll talk about. How will the colleges view the test? We don't know how that's going to be taken. If that's going to be looked at either. The test will be fully implemented in May 2009. This comes from the head of mathematics assessment at the state of New Jersey. I've had a conversation with him many in the last month, and he has told me bank on the test being fully implemented for all students who finish Algebra 2 in whatever year of high school they're in, to take it at the end of their course, and that first set will be in May 2009. It will not replace the 11th grade HESPA. It will not replace it. It's just another test. So there's a possibility that you could be an 11th grader taking the March HESPA and the May Algebra 2 test at the same time.
Michael?
Yes.
I mean, whether or not you think this is the crummiest idea or the greatest idea, since sliced bread or whatever the expression is, I mean, it's a reality. We have to deal with it, right?
Yes.
Is that the issue?
Exactly. Yeah. We can't just. I've been dealing with it now since it really came out about a year ago, and we're ready for it. And we're ready to do it.
Who gets paid? Is it Pearson?
Pearson got the contract to make the test.
Easy.
From
the state. It sounds like a conflict of interest.
My contacts
I don't think we can legally pay them.
My contacts at Pearson also tell me that they're making textbooks and workbooks for this test. So
it sounds like a clear violation of the board code of ethics to pay them.
Mike, since to Pete's point, where we just said textbooks now, what is the what's the class now that would be taking this test?
We have kids in Algebra 2 in all grades. About 55% of our freshmen are in Algebra 2. So freshmen this year, if they had to take the test, 55% of them would take it. The other 45 are in Algebra 1. They would take it the next year in their sophomore year. And some of our students, depending on what level they're in, would take it the junior year, and I'll show you a little schematic of how we're going to work with those students. So in actuality, you could have test takers from all different grades. If we had to take the test today, there are 703 kids in the school that actually qualify for the test.
But would our existing textbooks that we use?
Yes, we don't need any.
We don't need any
supplemental
another textbook.
We don't need anything supplemental.
It's just the test.
All this is algebra.
Yeah, that's right. This test specs. It's out. We're all interested in seeing them. They came out a week ago. It's algebra. It's Algebra 2. So it was nice. It was nice to see that. So
is there any differentiation between regular education and special education in this protocol?
No, not that I've seen yet.
No, nothing.
So all students, regardless of
all students.
It would be a matter of eligibility, whether the team determines that the student is eligible to take an Algebra 2 EOC. That's basically how it will shake out.
In my digging with the state of New Jersey on this, I found a lot of different words and what they mean at the state. Operational was a word that was said to me on the phone, that the test will be operational from May 9th through May 19th and June 4th, 2008 for an operational test. I've said, well, everybody's going to have to take it. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is bad. Well, operational means field test at the state. That I didn't know. I figured that out after a few phone calls. So there's been field testing going on all year, mostly online field testing. And it hasn't worked very well, supposedly. They've given the test online. There's been a lot of problems. The test, all kinds of technical issues. With this field test that's been going on now and the real paper and pencil field test that's going to take place from May 19th to June 4th, one of those days, the state has said they're going to get some baseline scores from this, use those baseline scores to find a passing grade, whatever that is, to look at question validity, which questions they can throw out, which they should keep, and to think about the usefulness of the test for students. Right now it's marketed as students can put this on their transcripts for colleges and for employers. There'll be honors that are given out by the American Diploma Project for students who achieve very high scores. And it's to show the rigor of the curriculum undertaken by the student. That's the Achieve.org line. That's not my line. Right? That's what they basically are saying, the usefulness of the test for the students. Yes.
Michael, so right now, without this thing, kid gets a B or an A in Algebra 2, right? Okay. So now they take this test, same course, but now they get, I don't know, whatever the grading is. Let's say it's like an SAT, 800 is perfect or whatever. So they end up getting, a 750 on it. Wow, that's great. They get an A in the class and a 750 is a smart kid. Gets an A in the class and gets a 400 on the test. I mean, is this, this, I assume, does every college then start knowing if Horowitz took Algebra 2 in New Jersey after May 19th, that if he doesn't submit his grade, when he applies to college. It means, Horowitz, did pretty crummy, and conversely, if he submits his 700, he did pretty well. I mean, is this going to, you say it can help, but I mean, it's also one of those
You
things.
have to take the course over again.
What?
You have to take the course over again.
Well, I could take it 100 times. It's not going to change my grade. But, you know what I mean, Mike? I mean,
Yeah, currently for the HESPA, we do not report out on our transcripts what a student earned on the HESPA test. Many colleges know that their state tests, every state has a different test. This one obviously is going to be amongst 9 states that are in a conglomerate. So I would think the colleges would know that this is taking place, whether they really look at it. Remember, the colleges still have not come to grips with the SAT essay. I can't see them coming to grips with this yet when they have 3 million test takers for the SAT and they still have not decided whether they think the essay is valid or not. So I'm not so sure whether colleges are really going to be looking at this. The other thing is Algebra 2 is on the SAT now, so if you get a high math score on the SAT, you kind of know your Algebra 2 then.
well, I mean, then the kids take AP calculus, they take the SAT 2 in math. I mean, this is just...
If you look at some of the states, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to some of the states, but in Arkansas, I think in some areas, taking that Algebra 2 is really high up there in some of the states. And while in New Jersey, in our district, I think you should take it. We have 8th graders taking it here. So I know for some states it may be a bigger thing than than what is for our district. I'm not really too sure about that yet.
I have a question. You talked about paper and pencil tests versus computerized tests. It doesn't sound like we would have a choice as to...
The actual test that will take place in May 09 will be a paper and pencil test.
So presumably if it was a computerized test, it would probably be a cheaper test because the scoring would be done manually.
Currently, the paper and pencil test, I have it down, it's $23 to take, score, and get the score back. If you want to get it within a week, it's $26. So you'll get it within 2 weeks after you take it and ship it off. So that's a lot of money. I mean, you're going to have a lot of kids take that test at all the districts. So I think somewhere around 350,000 students may take it in May 09. That's the number that was just thrown out to me. It's a lot of money. But it's even better.
But just think how much money that would save if everybody was taking it by computer.
Correct.
I'm assuming they'll charge us. They'll charge the same amount. They're not, it just costs them.
In my experience with computerized testing, things go wrong, and it gets it just gets very, very ugly sometimes with the computerized testing. I think the state is probably going to look at paper and pencil for the massive amount of students that have to take it. Now the test, this is where it gets a little dicey. There's a common core exam. That's what it's being called. It's a 2-hour exam, 50 multiple choice, 7 short answer, 3 extended response. Basically, very similar to a HESPA where students will have to explain their answers. And all 15% of the test and all the topics down there are what's on the core test. That we've tweaked our curriculum very little for this because we do most of that. So I was quite happy to see that. So every student in the state of New Jersey who finishes Algebra 2 in May of whatever year they are in high school will have to take this common core test, which is scored at about $24, $23 per test. Gets better. There are optional modules that students can take. 6, these optional modules, there's actually 7 of them, and here are the topics down here: data and statistics, probability, logarithmic functions. These are all things that, if we went to school 12 months a year, we could probably get to everything and give these tests, but these are optional modules that the students will opt to take. It's a 20-minute module that has 6 multiple choice, 1 short answer, and 1 extended response. It's a $7 test. So if you're a student in Algebra 2 and you must take the common test, but you can opt, and it says optional in all the information I've gotten from the state and from achieve.org, a student can sit for any of these. So they can take it, get a grade, put it on their transcript if they want. So these are the optional modules that they take. I've asked the people, my contacts, the state 4 different times. I called on 4 different days to see what I would get. Do students have to take these optional modules? No. That was the answer. They're optional. So that's something that we'll have to see which kids want to take them. It will be offered for them. They're only 20 minutes. It's like a short quiz, and those can be graded quite quickly for the students. The only thing we've really done is we're proposing a resequencing of our L-level course or our L-level classes for a number of reasons. One, I've always wanted to have the students for L-level courses to take Algebra 2 a little earlier. Currently, it's offered as a senior course for students, and the reason being is because this course is our Algebra Concepts L course, is our HESPA course, and for the past 2-3 years, we've been trying to focus on getting ourselves and our act together there. And as I reported last board meeting, I think we've solved that issue. I think we're right where we need to be. We know what to do with our students. What we have to make sure is if this test is going to be a graduation requirement, and it's May of the senior year for a student, and they take the test, and they fail it, what happens? I mean, they're going to graduate in a month. So we're going to move Algebra 2L. We're proposing to move it to the 11th grade year. So if it is a graduation requirement, there's some leeway there. That if the student does fail it, they have a whole year to get back on track and actually pass the test. Again, we don't know if it's a graduation requirement yet. With that, we'd have to reshift some of our courses and make Algebra Concepts really a half-year course to prepare students for the HESPA who need it, as well as our Math Essentials, which is our 10th grade backup course, getting students prepared for the HESPA. Remember, they're still going to take the HESPA in the 11th grade. So this restructuring and resequencing of the course structure will still give all our students in the school the opportunity to take 4 years of mathematics and actually open up a new course for them called a Prob and Stat combination course, where as a senior, if you fulfilled all your requirements, but you still want to take the Prob and Stat on a level that's not honors or J, we're going to have an open class there for all students, so we can still get 4 years of mathematics in. But again, not knowing whether the test is going to be a graduation requirement, this resequencing is very, very important for our students. Yes?
You're all right from an educational standpoint in math to move Algebra 2L to the 11th grade?
Yes.
These students,
Yes.
you think they're able to deal with it?
Yes.
You're not going to struggle a lot with that?
Well, I think they'll struggle, but I think it's more important because what I get a lot from students is, I need the Algebra 2 for the SAT in my junior year. I need those topics such as functions, and I don't get them as much in the Algebra Concepts as I would in Algebra 2L. So I do think that we have a great amount of students that see that, and parents who ask me that question. I think it will be a little difficult for students. It's going to be in the junior year now. Again, the students who take this course currently don't have to take Algebra 2L. They've already accomplished 3 years of mathematics, and that's the state requirement. So the seniors who do take Algebra 2L want to be there. They want to try it. They know that it's important for their college placement exams. Here, it's not an option. It's not a requirement. You got to take it. So there could be some backlash to that, but got to do it. That's how I'm going to frame it to students.
It's almost a mandated acceleration of the curriculum
Yes.
to the testing regime. Okay.
And currently, most of our seniors, most of our students come out of here taking Algebra 2. Some take it as freshmen, some take it as seniors, but I'd say if I ran the numbers, probably 95% of our students come out taking 4 years or so of math. So those numbers are good. So the acceleration could cause a problem. We'll see how it goes. I'm hoping. But that's where we're at with state testing right now. So,
any questions, Laura?
Yeah. So some of these kids that are struggling with algebra, presumably, if they fail this, they could prevent them, if it were a requirement for graduation, could prevent them from graduating.
It could if it was a state requirement. Currently, the state has a backup mechanism called the SRA for the HESPA. Where if students do fail the HESPA in the 11th grade, we automatically enroll them into a 12th grade semester course. that allows them to retake the test in October and then have a third backup mechanism called the SRA process, which is really an in-school HESPA that we give to students. We have never, at least in my time, maybe Tom would know, we have never had a student not graduate because of HESPA or HSPT. We've always got them through. Usually by the time the third round is, maybe 4 or 5 students that actually have to take those, and we have to ship them to the state and the county first and then the state. I don't think this is going to be a graduation requirement. I really don't feel that the state's going to go in that way. They are thinking about making Algebra 1 a graduation requirement, that all students must take Algebra 1. So my question to the state is, what if a student is in 8th grade and they take Algebra 1? Does it count? I hope, but you never know. Operational means something different. I've learned a lot from the state. So.
That's right. Any other questions? Do you have a question?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
The other thing that may drop off the radar in the next year is the math, the SRA. Is that right, Michael?
Yes, it's going to drop off in another year. Yes.
Always entertained to hear about the new testing.
Yes.
With that, we'll move on to the first opportunity for public to comment.
Seeing none?
I don't see any public there. So with that, we'll move on to board discussion. Really just 2 items, board goals and board policies. Do we have copies of, did we put copies in there?
Yeah. Yes. There should have been.
Okay.
No,
That's Dr. Stromsland's goals. I got, if we don't have copies of it, then I will get copies sent out to you. That's okay. Remember, you were going to add that one sentence in there.
I did that in my guys, but not.
No, in the, we talked about.
Oh, yes, we didn't do that.
I had input from, I think, 6 board members with regard to goals for the board. I appreciate the input. We have focused at, I'll provide you with everybody's feedback on that. I apologize for not having copies of it here. Do you have a copy there?
I do.
Can I just see it for a second? They focus down to kind of 2. Yeah, why don't we make copies of this and we'll get them. They focus to a couple of categories, but there's a lot of diversion. One of which had to do with strategic planning and long-range planning for the district, was hit upon by, I think, 5 or 4 of the people that commented. And another one had to do with the budget process and successful, making sure the budget was successful. And then after that, there was some twosies and onesies. My favorite, CUSAC, got 2. Jerry and I were the popular votes on the CUSAC. So we'll get those copies to you, and then at the next board meeting, we'll give you a chance to look at them. And if you haven't provided any input, please feel free to provide input if you have, if you want to make changes. But what I want to do is at the next board meeting, then have another discussion on board goals. These are not, and I'd like to do is try to narrow it down to 2, maybe 3 goals for us of saying, these are the things as a district we really want to try to focus on as a Board of Education. The 2 other things I wanted to just kind of get through. Jerry had brought forward at the last meeting, and I think he'd sent it out to, I don't know if he sent it out to everybody or not, but one about a Board of Education self-evaluation. It's a process that, from CUSAC's standpoint, they're going to look to see that the board goes through a evaluation of its on a periodic basis. I would propose and I would suggest that we do this again sooner rather than later. The questions are more general leadership oriented, and they can be very helpful to us to understand who we are and how we operate. So I'd like to suggest that we go ahead and start the process whereby we conduct a board evaluation, self-evaluation. We can issue the forms out. You can think about it. At the next meeting, we can go into more, we'll send out the questionnaire. We don't have to fill it out, but you can take a look at it and see then if you have any questions on it at the next meeting, then we can launch the process. And so sometime probably by December, we'll get everybody's feedback, and then we'll develop the process between now and the next meeting, if that would be to everybody's, if everybody's willing to go through that at this point in time. Jerry, you have any?
I just said you mentioned the CUSAC. There are two questions specifically on the CUSAC regarding this. One is the school board or advisory board annually undertakes a self-evaluation process which reflects that highest priority is given to student achievement. There's two parts that I guess we do it annually, and it focuses on student achievement. And the school board or advisory board self-evaluation process includes a professional development improvement plan directed towards increasing knowledge and skills in policy making and governance for members of the board. So that's the question we have to fill out next year.
So we've got, looking back for 3 years, we've got to answer both of those no. So we're investing in the future.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would say we got to start somewhere.
And also that the look back, I mean, the QUAR would suffice in terms of the requirement. It's in terms of what we're doing in the planning year, which is this year, and then moving forward to next year. So I think that's part of, I don't think we need to be quite as focused on that in terms of the look back, more in terms of what we're doing now and going forward.
We'll finesse probably later.
Finesse is a nice word.
The last couple of years.
Very nice word.
There are a lot of
But
different
it will work
avenues.
better with some areas in some questions than others.
Right.
But, and also to mention that, Gwen Thornton reached out to me, I guess it was yesterday or the day before, that she won't be available until December to talk with us about the governance piece that we were going to elaborate on from the last time she met with us. So, just to know that that's probably not going to happen until December or January until we bring her in.
Could I suggest if most of us are going to go to training in January, that we put her off till after that, so if we have any specific questions after the training, she can answer those?
I'm going to run a bus.
I think we have to find out our availability, but it's not my suggestion when we take a look at it.
Yep.
I do want to keep this, I'll tell you, I'm having listened to them talk down at Atlantic City, I am really concerned about it. I think there's a lot, and I think that they're going to come in and potentially, given that they're doing a 3-year look back, which is a retrospective, in my business would be called a retrospective effort. It's a dangerous, it's tough to do, and it's also, I'm going to bet there are going to be a lot of people in the state that aren't going to pass the standards. And they're going to end up in corrective action plans and or down in the lower zone. Thanks, Tim. This is the copy. What I attempted to do was to consolidate them together. You can take a look at it. You can say, well, you really missed this one. That'd be fine, too. In terms of consolidation, there were a total of about 13 topics, 12 topics. And if you look at the first page at the top, it says the number on the left is basically the number of that particular goal. And then the first one is the one I felt dealt mostly with strategic planning or long-range planning in some way. This item 2 I thought dealt primarily with the budget, something to do with the budget in terms of how it was prepared, how it was presented. Third one was a more general statement about high world-class educational system, or maybe what we want to move into something like an IB program. The fourth one had to do with one that we are going to spend a lot of time on in the coming year, which has to do with schedule. And you can keep going on. The fifth one had to do with the NJQ. They weren't ordered in any kind of particular order other than that I did put the ones that had the most, I tried to move those to the front. And then it got down into the onesies. So take a look at this. We're going to talk about this at the next meeting. And I'd like to try to come to grips with which of these do we really want to try to spend our time and energy on in the coming year. Okay. So I'm giving you a couple of days to think about it. And then, like I said, if you haven't had any input into this process up to now, feel free to send Fran and myself an email to let us know what you think the goals should be.
The other thing is we were going to talk on a schedule-wise about CSA performance this meeting, and I guess because Ricing didn't take place, right, and there's also obviously a full agenda as well, but still like to do that next meeting. And I guess part of it I didn't realize at the time that Fran had to be riced in enough time advance. How much time do you need for Ricing?
48 hours.
Okay.
So we really need to do it, we need to know.
Like work days, you know, like Thursday.
Could we rice her for the next meeting then?
Yeah.
You could do it now.
Yeah.
I'm
She
considering myself.
used to be rice for self-evaluation.
Also, just
I didn't know that, so.
Yeah. Just to say, at this meeting that I will not be sending out Blue Notes Friday. I'll be sending you out instead the State of the District report. I did that last year as well. I did a mid-year and an end of the year. I'm going to send you the mid-year State of the District report entirely from the perspective of curriculum and programs, not a financial report, because that's something obviously you get at every meeting. So that will be coming to you in lieu of Blue Notes this week.
Okay, the last, so that's the board goals, self-evaluation. Think about, we're going to start down that process. I don't hear anybody here saying, no, don't do that. So I'd like to go ahead and initiate that activity for us. We'll be talking more about that in the next meeting. The last thing I wanted to mention, is get some discussion on, we had the board policy, we had 3281, which had to do with the improper behavior, inappropriate staff conduct. Rob, you'd raised some questions on that. We have to talk with Dr. Skrill about that. A lot of the language is in here is very specific, as you know. That's at our request, actually, to make it as specific as possible. I don't know if you have some, if you could provide us with some feedback, I'd appreciate it.
Here, if I can, down at the convention, I met Tim. What's the name of the guy?
Phil Nicastro.
I had a long talk with Phil.
Nicastro,
Okay,
yeah.
and I, explained to him where we were, some of the concerns we had, and he has a. It looks like there was the inappropriate conduct that Strauss Esme had. And then the one that we were dealing with sort of was I don't know, an evolution or an outgrowth of that. And that's when I have a lot of questions. Phil volunteered, and before the meeting I spoke to Tim about this, that he volunteered that if we could send him,
The copy that we have.
Yeah, the outgrowth, I'll call it that he would take a look at it, the outgrowth, whatever the virus said.
Okay.
He'll take a look at it to sort of see how he can put it in a little more coherent way. I mean, he agreed. I mean, we're not talking. I mean, Pete, the way that reads, it's not the intention, but I mean, if a kid gets into some great college and the teacher goes up and gives the kid a hug and a kiss, congratulations. Technically, that teacher has violated that inappropriate conduct. I mean, it's just a kissing. I mean, we all it's like the famous line. Justice Potter Stewart said when they asked him, and he's very learned. He was a Rhodes Scholar, went to Yale. He was President Kennedy put him on the Supreme Court. He said, how do you know pornography? And he sort of, I know it when I see it. I mean, we all understand what the type of conduct that we're trying to prevent, avoid, and prevent liability to the school district. So, with that, Paul and Tim, he volunteered to take a look at what we had to sort of conform it to what he thinks would be an inappropriate touching or conduct.
So we'll take that. We had it moved back. We kept it at first read. We'll get his input into it. My guess is it's going to be make a lot of changes. We'll probably take it back to first read, and then so hopefully we'll be able to bring that. We're a little bit short-staffed in the policy area with Irene leaving. We have to bring somebody up training on this quickly, but thanks for talking to Phil.
I feel very confident. I've never met Phil before, but given his background, superintendent at Brick Township, and he's a lawyer, and so he's been involved with this for many years. That if he sort of vets it and makes some pretty constructive suggestions, that I would say that'd be pretty good for me.
We've met with him on a couple occasions. We found him to be very helpful. Okay, thank you. With that, I'm done with board discussion. We have other questions on policy. We are going to vote on the automatic external defibrillator policy. for the second reading.
The school board stuff, how do you want to deal with that in terms of what they're going to be talking about, or
Which school board stuff do you want to, you would like to talk?
at the convention? I wouldn't. It's just, there's one resolution up for discussion. It's pretty bland, but I mean, I'm used to kind of talking to the board and getting their input. If somebody's going to go down there to vote.
Oh, you mean the
Usually,
delegates. Why don't you brief us on that, okay? 'Cause
It's
you're
just,
more familiar with it.
what they do is every school delegate assembly, they have resolutions that are brought forward, and this
Sherry,
one
just-
is,
Just say, talk to Peter, because he's going to be the one that's going to be there for us. Hey, Pete, you got to listen to what he's saying, because you got to be representing us. Uh-oh, he's going to throw a rock at me.
Probably.
maybe I don't want to bring this up.
He's going to throw Tom at you.
And he could.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The issue that Sayreville raised has to do with two legislature bills, A17 and S9, which had to do with removing mandatory commemorations of Memorial Day and Veterans Day, and that may compromise school boards association's policy. So they didn't want to feel veterans were being overlooked, and a lot of veterans were kind of upset about the way these laws were. So school boards didn't want to have language that kind of may have looked offensive. So they had just proposed,
Which day?
Sayreville had brought this resolution forward that says they wanted the policy to be revised that would say particular exercise for the observation of commemorative days in public schools should be left to the direction of local boards of education. And school boards is in favor, but they just want to change the language a little bit. So what school boards is proposing is language that would say school boards believes particular exercises for the observation of commemorative days at public schools should be left to the direction of local boards of education. School boards believe that a free and public education would not be possible without the sacrifices of the men and women who fought for our country and those who died to preserve our democracy, and that pupils should be made aware of the contributions of our military veterans and the significance of Memorial Day and Veterans Day. So it's one that I think is not going to be very hotly debated, but it's the one that's going to be, as a resolution, that's going to be voted upon. So
The context of that is a law or a policy? I'm confused.
it's what Sayreville is believing is that school boards supported the two laws, A17 and S9, and those laws contained provisions to remove the mandatory commemorations of Memorial Day and Veterans Day. So because school boards supported those, and the law said you shouldn't have this mandatory commemoration, Sayreville would like some language inserted that would in fact recognize the contributions of veterans,
Were
so
those
it's not
laws
to alienate.
adopted?
Yes. They
So
were.
those laws were already adopted, and now Sayreville wants to have the school boards adopt a policy that says, oops, we didn't mean it.
Oops, that we recognize the contributions of veterans, and they should be recognized. And that's the vote that's going to be up there. And it's amazing when you go to these things, it's something that may sound very simple or easy. Sometimes it's debated and discussed. But that's one issue, that's one resolution. And then they do these other things that have to do with policy revisions. And for the most part, they don't change them. There are a couple here that I have questions on, and I don't want to take a lot of time going through them, but the one in particular with shared services, they want to just change the wording that says, New Jersey school boards believe that a district, and it says, should share or consolidate personnel and related services. They want to change it, should be encouraged. Instead of should share, should be encouraged to share. That's the only one I saw that had any real significant change. But that'll be the discussion there, whoever decides
Tim,
to attend, Pete.
you have the packet, right? Right, so can we have the packet, so whoever we do appoint, it's not my
Like
hand.
you watch it fly around the table.
And I would assume that the board would then want that
Watch it, you
that
touch it,
resolution
you get it.
supported when it's voted on. I mean, that's
You
the
touch it, you
reason.
keep it.
We going to be.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure everybody heard you.
No, I said the only reason to do that is because it's good to have the recognition of the board to support whatever resolution is being voted on, so the person's voting on behalf of the board rather than the individual. So even if it's just something as basic as this, maybe you take a straw poll or something.
So how do you want to word this and see, why don't you try to word something to see if we can take a straw poll on it?
Well, just as to whether you'd support this resolution, I mean, my recommendation is you would, after going through what they've described.
Rob, we need you.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, I understand, but we're
Together.
going to take a little bit of a straw poll here on the resolution that...
Support, and the recommendation would be to support school board's alternative language for changing their policy and adopting Sayreville's idea. And again, if somebody's going to be there, it's kind of a good idea that the board has endorsed whatever vote they're taking.
Who would be opposed to supporting that position?
Nobody, right?
I'm abstaining.
You're abstaining, okay.
Abstaining from what, Peter?
Taking a position on whether the board should support the Sayreville resolution and the other resolution.
Their resolution is to encourage and support the observance of those holidays.
No, their resolution is the reason I'm abstaining, Pete, is because their resolution is after school boards has supported this change in the law, they want to say, we supported this change in the law, we didn't realize it had this apparently unintended consequence, so we're now making an affirmative statement that we support commemoration, or that local districts should be allowed to decide whether or not to support commemorations.
So they've said, oops.
Yes.
And we're not
That's kind of what they've done, yeah.
No, I'm just abstaining. I don't want to take a position one way or the other on that personally, that's all.
It's his choice.
I'm not asking anybody else not to vote yes on this straw poll.
Well, how does whatever the state law or the Sayreville position impact, Tom, what we've been doing or not doing for the last 10, 15 years anyway with respect to these holidays?
It doesn't.
Not much. We make a statement over the PA, but nothing.
So, I mean, it does. So the impact to us, the state law or the resolution of Sayreville, has really no impact on what we have been doing or not doing. So why do we need to even discuss this?
Well, because we're going to have a representative there, and that representative is going to be asked to take a position, and that representative should represent the board as opposed to... That's why we're taking it. We're not going to take a formal vote, but we want to give guidance to the person that's going to be there.
I mean, Sayreville has made the comment that there have been military veterans who have taken offense to school board support of these two laws. And the idea is they don't want to alienate a whole group of people from school boards and supporting of schools because they've supported this change, these laws that have in fact removed this mandatory requirement for these two holidays. And that's where this whole thing has kind of come about. So that's why the school board's saying, like you said, oops, we didn't really mean it, we didn't.
I think I could summarize the sentiment of the board of being one of supportive of this position by Sayreville and wanting to go forward on that. Sandy, you look like you have something you really want to say.
No. I'm listening, and it sounds like a ball that's bouncing back and forth, and I'm getting more and more confused as I'm hearing Pete say we
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
It doesn't seem to change what we have to. Give me a little capsule of exactly the complaint of Sarah. What did the school board say, and what is Sayreville unhappy?
The laws that have been enacted, A17 and S9, have been supported those bills. And I guess I thought they were enacted. It doesn't say here, but I thought they were.
And these bills are
and they include provisions for removing the mandatory commemoration of Memorial Day and Veterans Day. So Sayreville is asserting that they've compromised school boards because school boards are supporting those changes in law. And that's why they want this.
This is coming out of Assembly and Senate, you're saying?
Yeah, the law was passed. It said you no longer had to.
You have to commemorate those.
You don't have to commemorate.
Celebrate those days, right? Or commemorate.
And commemorate, and this does not mean that the schools are closed. It just means
just some sort of recognition.
Acknowledgement.
And what
Trenton went to the extreme of saying,
okay,
you don't have to do that?
Let me correct it because I guess those policies were vetoed by the governor that would have changed that. But the whole thing is that this language, school boards wants the language here that would kind of make it okay for them to supporting Memorial Day and Veterans Day as holidays.
Well, given that clarification, Jerry, that 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 provision was vetoed and it's still
The government
possibly of interest. I'm not going to abstain. I'm going to vote that we should support what Sayreville wants to do.
Okay.
Okay, so whoever ends up
Apologize for confusing
representing us down at this delegate assembly for the school board should represent us, I guess, in the manner of supporting the Sayreville amendment.
But somebody better go.
Pardon?
Somebody better go after all this.
Yeah, okay. Anything else on that?
No.
With that, why don't we move on to the action items then? And we have, I'll point out to you, just so, because I'll forget it by the time we get to the Cs and Ds, but there are two walk-in agenda items. Do we have any items that we want to pull on items A1 through A11?
A10 we need to pull
A10,
off.
I'm sorry, yeah. A10 has already been pulled, by the way. It was removed. It had to be removed. So we have anybody who wants to pull items A1 through A9 or A11?
Hearing none, I will move A1 through 9 and A11.
Here's the one I asked
Can I
you.
get a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
So,
Can I get a roll call vote?
Mr. Binder?
Aye.
Mr. Fallon?
Yes.
Mr. Falzarano?
Yep.
Mrs. Fechner?
Yes.
Mr. Horowitz? Mrs. Mandel?
Yes.
Mr. Pepe?
Aye.
Mr. Sun?
Yes.
And Dr. Seeley?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, we don't have any curriculum instruction. We have a number of items.
Did you want to move these other two onto the agenda, though?
Yeah.
I don't think we have to.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah,
have to.
C13.
They're walk-in agenda items, just like these are, and we'll simply include them in the resolution, okay?
C13.
Pardon?
Any polls?
C13.
Well, it's going to be moved in when we move all the rest of them as things that we're going to vote on.
Anybody pulling any
Is
Cs?
anybody going to pull the Cs? We have
I have a
C1 through
question.
C13.
I have a question on C7.
Do you want to pull it, or you just have a question?
Well, depends on what the answer is.
Oh, you may want to pull it. So let's pull it. So let's pull it then. We're just going to pull, which one is it, Pete?
C7.
All right, so C7 is pulled. Do I have any others that we want to pull?
Then I will move C1 through C6 and C8 through C13.
Any discussion on those?
Second.
No, I'm sorry, we need a second, don't we? We got a second. Do I have any discussion on it?
On what? Which ones?
C1 through C6.
All the Cs
C8
except
through
7.
C13.
Yeah, I have a question on C3.
Yes.
Fran, what
Yes.
was,
Irene's salary?
yes,
64 and change.
and this woman is 58?
Yes.
And these positions, are they,
Non-union.
are they, these are non-tenure positions?
Oh, no, they are
No.
they
They
are
can get tenure.
They can get tenure, but they're not union positions.
Explain to me what happens when someone gets tenure in a non-union position?
Just tenure. The tenure applies. The tenure acts like a renewable contract.
They don't get a previously agreed upon rate
Rate
increase from
increase.
year to
No, but
year,
does
but
that
they can't
mean
be.
after 3 or 4 years,
they're
they
hired
have a
after
permanent
3
position?
years.
That's right.
3 years.
3 years in a day.
So they're not an at-will employee, right?
No,
After
and-
3 years,
And
that's
actually,
right.
she would be 2 years in a day 'cause she's already tenured in the position.
She's what?
She's already tenured here.
She's
at
from
As a
within.
secretary.
So if she
Oh,
was
she's been here
removed
for,
from that position, she'd go back to another tenured, or another position. She wouldn't be out the door.
she's been here.
She's been
She's not a
here.
new hire.
No.
It's a new position, not a new hire, is that right? And she's moving from where? What was her old
She was
position?
the assistant, the confidential assistant to the director of special services.
And is she being replaced in that position?
She will be replaced, yes.
That's a vacant position?
Right now, it's vacant. It would be vacant effective the 12th.
Any other questions? Can I get a roll call vote?
Mr. Binder?
Aye.
Mr. Fallon?
Yes.
Mr. Falzarano?
Yes?
Mrs. Fechner?
Yes.
Mr. Horowitz? Mrs. Mandel?
Yes.
Mr. Pepe?
Yep.
Mr. Sun?
Yes.
Dr. Seeley?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can we
Tim,
get,
could I now move C7?
I'll second it.
Can I get, we have moved and seconded C7. You guys are great at this. You're really moving this thing on. Pete, you got a question?
We're seeing if we can get the meetings done earlier.
Sorry, good for you. Do you have a question on C7?
What is take additional duties for scheduling the theater and use of other school facilities?
Right.
What is the other school facilities?
Everything that's not athletic fields.
That is not
Right.
athletic field or gymnasiums.
anything related to athletics would not be handled by this gentleman.
So do the theaters and open
theaters,
Generally,
classroom.
theater events, sometimes they use, like a dance
Cafeterias.
group will use cafeterias in a classroom for dressing. So anything connected with the theater rental.
Which
Thanks
excludes
for an explanation.
Gymnasiums and
fields.
Fields, that's correct.
Okay, any other questions on C7? Can I get a roll call vote?
Mr. Binder?
Aye.
Mr. Fallon?
Yes.
Charles Arano?
Yes.
Mrs. Fechner?
Yes.
Mr. Horowitz? Yes. Mr. Mandel?
Yes.
Mr. Pepe?
Yes.
Mr. Sun?
Yes.
Dr. Seeley?
Yes. Can I get anybody want to pull D1 through D5 or D7?
We did these.
D6 is already
D6 is
done.
already done, that's why I skipped over.
Okay.
Anybody want to pull those?
Hearing none, I will move D1 through D5 and D7.
Can I get a second?
I have a question on
Second.
D4.
Just a second, get a second?
We got it from
Get a
Jerry.
second, you have a question? Go.
D4. Lou, I'll ask you because you probably have the most knowledge on D4 with this 1 year, $16,000 service agreement. Who's this company? Did we bid this out?
We got 3 quotes. We don't have to bid. We got 3 quotes.
Why? Because it's under your threshold.
It's under the bid threshold.
29,000, whatever. it is.
29,000. But we also had to get other quotes because it's over the
Right.
quote threshold, which is 4.
Right.
It just so happens, like Lou had said, they are familiar. They were here under TORCON, and they're familiar with the McQuay units, which kind of was a plus, because we think there are issues that are outstanding that they can fix. And they're aware of.
This contract for $16,400 is this a labor and materials, meaning if a part is not covered by a warranty with their service contract, do they fix it for free? Not, I mean, they fix it for free. Do we still have to buy the part? Do they guarantee certain parts? How does it work?
Well, it doesn't cover everything. Unlike most maintenance agreements, there are certain things that are outside of that initial agreement. Exactly what they are.
Well, here's my first question.
As being a McQuay installer,
Right.
if it's a McQuay guaranteed and warranted part, and therefore they're an authorized dealer, the part under warranty gets replaced.
Right.
Okay? If I understand it right, anything above and beyond that would be expensive. The labor probably would be free, but or not free, but a part of the contract, the cost of the material would be
Well, I mean,
added.
is labor free? Do they come? I mean, do they come in, monthly to, do a certain PM? And if we call them, the first X hours are included in the contract. I mean,
If it's within the maintenance agreement, it's free. If it's outside, like what Lou's talking about, then there is an overtime, there's an overtime rate and a straight time rate and a double time rate. If it's outside the maintenance agreement time. So that's the differentiation, and it's like, I give you the time, like a field.
I don't want. Listen, I'm not asking you to read the whole contract.
This has also been recommended by Don Fiore, who reviewed the contract,
I'm not.
and urged us to
There's sort of
get
an
someone
overarching
to-
question that, with the new construction and with the renovation, there's so many different, systems, that we pay for, mechanical system, plumbing systems, et cetera, et cetera. Lou, who is the, who's the caretaker, or if there's not, who should that caretaker be of listing all of these systems, what the underlying, have we created a database of warranties, what's covered, what's not covered, I mean,
Right
how
now,
long they are?
The issue with the McQuay and the rooftops and stuff is when it was commissioned. Okay?
Well,
And that's
I mean,
the
when
issue
when the
with
clock
warranty.
starts running.
Right. And
Obviously, we want it later, and other
Right.
people want it sooner.
Right. And what was good about this, Russ was involved in this also. And he knows, he's got a good handle on the systems, what's wrong with them and all. And he liked the idea of MSC because they knew the systems coming in. So you don't have to retrain them on what the previous problems were. They already know it. So, and it's a one-year agreement, so when we're done, we don't have to lock into them later also.
But to your question about do you have a database of all the things
that's
that are
right. I mean,
out
sort
there,
of beyond
we
the-
asked this question, let me finish. We asked the question at the Buildings and Grounds Committee also, and that we're not quite to that stage yet where we can start to put all that stuff together, pull the warranties together, make sure we have all that information in a neat kind of package. But that's is definitely on the horizon if something's going to be done.
See, it's a hard question to answer because Greenlight, who did all the HVAC computer systems, has been gone. And that's why we're trying to get McBride back to bring Greenlight back so that we can get that system up and running and have some kind of database to start working off of. So,
do you know, and I don't know the answer to this question. I mean, with Torcon, as a general contractor, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but as a general contractor, do they, and maybe Gary's the guy to ask, do they issue a warranty of their work, which is above and beyond, or does it merely include the warranty of their subcontractors and the component manufacturers?
There's a warranty that they're required to give at the closeout of the project covering their work and the mechanical aspects of certain of the systems, and part of it depends on when certain systems were accepted as to how long it'll be from that point on. But the question you're asking is governed by the specs of the contract, what the warranty is that they have to agree. In most cases, it's coextensive with the warranties that are given by their subs, but in some cases it goes beyond.
The range.
In a couple cases, but not too many significant ones, Rob.
Can we...
We just, I think you're doing it. We just, this is such a,
I know, it's a nightmare.
monumental. I mean, you're dealing with what, hundreds of systems here.
It's one of the reasons our buildings and grounds meetings are so long.
These are good questions, and probably in a B&G meeting, we want to try to go into that in greater detail and explore. You probably want to, you could come and...
Just one of those, Lou, are there computer softwares that, off-the-shelf sort of products that we can buy, that we don't have to reinvent the wheels?
Last year, when we met with Siemens and Trane, we understand that. We can't get them in here until Greenlight and McBride and all of them are done and finished. And then we can come up with a new plan to get these guys in here. We already have the plan for all the univents in the south building. But we can't implement nothing until we get this project closed out and all these other guys out of here. So
that software exists. It's widely used in the industry for computerized maintenance management, which does all your automatic scheduling and records records and things like that.
Ultimately,
look at something like that.
Ultimately, one of the things that we might, because who knows how long this whole litigation, when we get that, but there are large insurance companies, AIG and many others. They do issue extensive warranties, especially for hospitals, universities, I'm sure for high schools, where you can actually purchase a insurance policy that covers every system, in our building for that type of coverage, and it might be ultimately something.
It is something that probably should be looked at.
Jerry, you had a question?
A question on the bill list, Tim, if it's okay, and I'm sorry I didn't get him to you sooner, but just a couple things.
On the Ds, we're still on the Ds.
Aren't we on the finance?
Yes, we are. I just want to make sure we're in the right section.
Yeah, it's D1, right?
Yeah, he's right.
Yeah, I waited. Those formats that are out there, it looks like we're renting them,
That's right.
like $240 a week, the
Which
ones that are on
ones?
the tile floor. Are we going to be doing that all year long, renting them? Is there any way to buy any formats that might...
We did look into buying them. They're quite expensive, and at the end of the process, we're not quite sure what we were going to do with them.
Yeah, they'd be worn out.
I didn't know whether we rented them because we thought it said 12 weeks. I didn't know whether we're thinking that we have some solution or whether we're going to... It's $240 a week for the mats.
But then they replace them as
That's
they
good.
wear out. They just replace them.
Okay.
They get a lot of use.
So that's okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and it was quite expensive to buy. It wasn't that cheap.
This is stuff that's in the lobby.
Yeah, the long walkway of the tile.
So we're billing, we're keeping track to bill Torcon.
Yes, we have a file on that.
Well, we may not want to
At
build
the
Torcon,
end,
though.
at the end of the time, the mats are all...
No, they replace them.
No, I mean,
Part of their
have they
deal.
worn out yet?
I think they're cleaner.
Because they always look brand new. So I was wondering.
They say they do replace them as they wear.
So that has happened, and
Yeah.
okay.
Next one.
And the
Otherwise, we'd
next
have a bunch
one
of
was,
old maps.
Yeah, no, I'm amazed at how like great
we have
condition
another-
they're in, and
Is
they're
that
used
Cintas?
all the time.
It's
Syntas?
CINTAS.
Big uniform.
And there's another one that was for equipment reconditioning from Circle for $62,000. And is that something we do every year, or is that something that's done every, few years? 'Cause
That's the athletic equipment?
That's the athletic reconditioning. Yeah, that's an annual. That's actually in every district I've been in. In fact, a lot of times we bid that and then we extend the contract. And I've never had anybody other than them bid on it.
I mean, they're the only companies that does this? Is
They're
that
the
why
only one in the
it's
area that I know
$62,000?
of that does
Very
reconditioning.
niche
I don't know of
business.
anybody who also does that.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's the guy from Immaculata.
Yeah, that's.
He's related
Frauenheim.
to. Who?
Mr. Frauenheim.
Frauenheim.
Michael.
That's it.
Yeah.
Pier-
Pier-
yeah.
Michael.
Frauenheim.
So there's no way to
It's
actually
not-
bid
it's
that
not
out?
Pierce,
It
it's
just,
related to Pierce.
it is what it is?
So what's he do? He takes his stuff from Berkeley Heights, ships it to us, and takes our stuff and ships it to Immaculata? Is that right?
Some of those charges
Changes
are-
the symbol on the
Recycled.
helmet.
Some of those charges are pretty steep. I mean, if you look at what per
They're not
shirt,
cheap. They're not cheap.
they're not cheap. They're not inexpensive. I'm wondering if
What's
you're buying
the
new
type of stuff
uniforms.
they
It's a
reconditions?
lot of work. It's an awful lot of work, though. It's every single uniform, every shoulder pad, every helmet,
They
every.
repair them, they.
It's
Right.
all the equipment.
Folds,
It's.
Next
it's a lot.
question.
And they do have.
And-
It's quite a business
It really
because
extends
there's
the
not a
life
lot
of
of
the
other people
stuff,
do
though.
it.
My final one, it had to do with, I wasn't sure, I haven't found the bill yet, but Van Holtzbrick Public Services
Who is it?
for $8,000
Say again?
for American Chemical. It says Van Holtzbrink. It's what this one, this is, where are the page numbers? Page 20. And I try to go through the bills so I don't have to ask the questions, but,
Well, they're textbooks.
okay, that is textbooks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly where they're formed.
Any other questions on the Ds then?
It's 13.
Can I get a roll call vote?
Mr. Binder?
Aye.
Mr. Fallon?
Yes.
Mr. Falzarano?
Yes.
Mrs. Fechner?
Yes.
Mr. Horowitz? Mrs. Mendel?
Yes.
Mr. Pepe?
Yeah.
Mr. Sun?
Real success.
Dr. Seeley?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Okay, this is a time that we have opportunity for the board members for other business. But we don't need to revisit things we've already talked about tonight, but if there's any other business at this time? Okay. We don't have any public here for a second opportunity to speak unless they're hiding in the background there someplace. With that, can I get a motion? Do I need a motion to move into executive session? Can I get a motion to move into executive session?
So moved?
Second that.
Going at warp speed.
Roll calls. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Name.
All right, at 9:10.